Hey everyone, before we get started with today's show, I'd like to give a shout out to Zach H12, the winner of our Week 6 Pick'em contest. We're about a third of the way through the season, so it's getting a little late to win the regular season, but you can still play week to week with us and we'll give you a shout out if you win. It's free to sign up, so go ahead and do that. Coming up on today's episode of the Sports Ballers, we will recap Week 6, talk a little Week 7, and get into some championship series for baseball. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest episode of the Sports Ballers podcast. My name is Eric Meyer. I am joined by Corey Puffett and Evan Ash, as always. Fellas, how are we feeling at 7:48 on this fine Tuesday?
I am feeling exhausted and exasperated.
And tardy, so 3 for 3.
I was just going to say, I think all of us are actually pretty tired right now.
A little bit, but we've got an hour to get through some sports stuff. Football related, baseball related, and our favorite type of topics, a couple of firings. We like it when people are unemployed. Well, not really, but at least football coaches that suck. And 2 of those guys lost their job. But we'll start with Week 6. And let's go with Monday Night Football. That's kind of been a tradition that we've had. We've had 2 games that we're actually going to discuss on Monday night because they were both at least interesting. We'll start with what happened locally over in Raljon. The Washington Commodes lost to the Chicago Bears on a last-second field goal, and it was a doozy of a game. It seems like maybe this is going to be a thing where Caleb and JD are going to go head-to-head every year, and the winner is going to win in the dumbest fashion possible. So, we had the Hail Mary game last year, and we had this year. So, 2 for 2 on hilarious games.
I think it's comforting for me as a Ravens fan to see other teams can just fumble away games too. It's not just my team that just hands over a win because can't hold on to the ball for whatever reason.
Yeah, there were a number of those this weekend, but the Commanders just couldn't get out of their own way. When it came to the end game, they seemed to have taken control of the game in the second half. I kind of thought that my hope of the Bears at least covering the spread seemed almost lost at one point in the third quarter, and then Washington's offense just stopped moving the ball, started fumbling the ball. The defense stopped, containing DeAndre Swift. Odunze didn't even do anything in the fourth quarter, and the Bears still just had no problem driving down the field. And Caleb Williams didn't look like special or anything last night, but the Bears still pulled out the win.
Yeah, just ask Troy Aikman about how he felt about Caleb Williams because he was out there just being a hater. Just the whole time was like the DeAndre Swift big touchdown that kind of got the Bears back into the game, and Aikman was just kind of like, "Well, that's just kind of lucky play." I'm like, "Well, it was like a 55-yard touchdown, so you'll take that kind of luck all day." And twice on Monday in this case. So big win for the Bears because that puts them over 500. They were on bye last week, so they're 3-2. They were kind of a team that I think we looked at and said, yeah, maybe we kind of wrote them off and maybe we still should, but they're 3-2. Now, their wins are over the Cowboys. That was the game that CD got hurt. The Cowboys defense loves to make anybody look good. They won this game, but it felt like Washington kind of gave it away. And I don't remember who their third win was against. And then they beat the Raiders in a sort of a similar fashion where it was like a last-second field goal. And we know the Raiders aren't very good, so not a very compelling slate of wins for them, but you just need to stack enough, and eventually they'll put you in a playoff spot because, only 7 teams can make it, but 7 teams is a lot.
Yeah, and to be fair, the only game that they've played that they either that they lost by more than 3 points was the Lions game when they got blown out.
Yeah.
But they played the Vikings close, and the Vikings we think might be a halfway decent team. Granted, that was the first game of the season. J.J. McCarthy's first, regular season game. But, the Bears are a team that can play a lot of teams well, and they have a really easy stretch coming up. Like, they could very well end up being 5 games over 500 by the time that they play in Minnesota in mid-November. They're playing the Saints this week, then they play the Ravens, then they play the Bengals, and they play the Giants. And I don't know if Lamar Jackson is expected to be back within the next week.
Well, the Ravens are on bye this week.
The Ravens are on bye this coming week.
Yes.
Right.
So
but will he be back next week? Will Lamar Jackson be back next week is my question.
No idea.
Because if not, that's a very winnable game for the Bears.
Based off of the history of hamstring injuries and the fact that Lamar's didn't seem that serious, I would say he should be back. Based off of the history of the way that this organization, being the Ravens, handles Lamar's injuries, he could be done for the rest of his life for all we know. Like,
right. I think I don't remember if I've said it on here. Like Harbaugh, like, oh, he's day to day. He might have a slight cough or need to go to the ICU or somewhere in between. But Harbs is going to say he's day to day.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same
ridiculous.
Story. Yeah. And Harbaugh has stated that he's pushing for, he's counting on Lamar to come back, basically because Lamar needs to save his job again. Mm-hmm. So, but that's not about the Ravens. They're not on the slate because they got embarrassed by the Rams, and they are now 1-5. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about some other teams where a little bit of trouble in paradise. The Bills went down to Atlanta and got worked in this game. Like, at no point did the Bills look like they were going to win this football game.
I know that it's still relatively early in the season, but that felt like a game where Josh Allen played his way out of the MVP conversation already.
At least for the time being,
That was horrible. It was a horrible performance by him. It was a horrible performance by the Bills in general. Their defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. Like, you can forgive, Bijan Robinson breaking free for one 81-yard touchdown run because sometimes those plays just happen. It was a good block, but he had to make some pretty impressive plays in the open field to actually, get to the sideline and stay in bounds and everything. Fine. But you gave up so many rushing yards. He set his own career high for rushing yards in that game. Tyler Algier ran all over you in addition, so you gave up like 200-some rushing yards in total. Michael Penix was throwing it all over them. Like, Drake London had a day. Like, they could stop no aspect of the Falcons' offense. And then you flip over to the Bills' offensive side, and you're like, well, they should at least be able to keep this game close. And they couldn't do anything. James Cook did nothing. Keon Coleman looked terrible. Khalil Shakir did nothing. Like, Dawson Knox was like the best player on their offense last night, and that's not good.
Not great.
It feels like that happens to the Bills a lot, where it feels like the tight ends are the guys making the outsized impact on the passing game.
Fine if they're actually doing a lot, and if Josh Allen is like making plays with his feet too. But he wasn't doing that last night.
He hasn't looked great for about a month now, right? Like, he looked great against Baltimore, because the Ravens make everybody look good. Mm-hmm. But he looked good, obviously down the stretch of that game, to snatch it from Baltimore. And then they played the Jets in week 2, and Allen didn't have much of a statistical day because he didn't need to. Like, James Cook ran all over them. The Jets are the Jets. But yeah, it's been like, even against the Dolphins, it was a struggle.
This is a dude who was so good at the end of last regular season. I know how much you guys love when I bring fantasy into this, but he was the number 1 quarterback in fantasy each of the last 4 games that he played last season. And he was number 1 quarterback in fantasy week 1 this year.
Well, yeah, we saw that.
So, I don't know what is going on right now with Josh Allen, but it ain't good.
It's just the vibe I get from the Bills right now is, for whatever reason, I think Joe Brady's their offensive coordinator now. They struggle when James Cook doesn't run for 6 yards a carry. Unless he's just running all over you, it feels like their offense gets stuck in the mud. And I don't understand why, because obviously Cook is a very good running back. I think they're tight ends. I think Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid are both good players.
Kincaid was out last night.
Yeah, but in general, because this isn't just about this week. Yeah, no. Those are 2 good tight ends to have. I think that Shakir's a good player. I think that Keon Coleman's a good player. They might not have
Coleman is very talented. I think he hasn't put it together yet.
Okay, but yes, I think for what Josh Allen is as a talent, for what this offensive line is, and for the skill guys they have, their offense should be elite.
Their offense is not any different than it was last year when it was elite, as far as the personnel.
Yeah.
It's not any different than it was last year, and yet it's not working right now, and it hasn't been working for the past 3 or 4 games as far as any sort of consistency. So it's concerning.
Yeah, big turnovers. Allen protected the ball very well last year, and we talked about it last week. Their skill position players had no offensive turnovers last season at all, no fumbles lost. And we saw against the Patriots, they put 2 balls on the ground. So that's a trend that they're going to have to clean up. They're still 4-2. They're currently in second place.
It's not time to like ring the panic bells or anything like that, but
this is the Super Bowl favorite for the first month of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So the other Super Bowl favorite
is currently
their season. So
yes, so they'll try to get on track. Meanwhile, the Falcons, we got to give them a little bit more love than that because they're 3-2 now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's very possible that we're gonna look back on the fact that they lost a game to the Carolina Panthers 30-0 and be like, that's the dumbest, weirdest, most inexplicable result of the season. Like it's got to be.
Was it 30 or 20 to nothing?
It was 30.
To nothing.
A 30 spot. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was a complete embarrassment. They just did not get off the bus for whatever reason.
No, they didn't.
But other than that, they've looked pretty solid.
It very well may just be a blip. No, you're right. They've looked solid this year. Penix doesn't look, he doesn't look like he's special, but he's getting the job done.
And he's got good players to throw to.
Yes.
Like they've got good pass catchers, and they got a great running back.
Like London has looked great. Pitts has looked solid so far this year. The two-headed monster at running back is good, and the defense has been getting the job done for the most part.
I feel like this is the first Falcons defense that might be kind of good in 10 years or something.
It's been a little while.
Since Matt Ryan was winning the MVP, I guess.
Yeah,
some time.
The Falcons defense has been a sieve for a while, just getting toasted. They sniped a couple pass rushers from the Ravens in the draft. And maybe they're getting after it a little bit.
Did they snipe them, or did the Ravens just never plan on drafting?
I don't know.
They seem pretty set on Malachi Starks, who has not exactly been an impact player so far. But
yeah, I mean, their sack rate, their quarterback pressure rate, both way higher this year so far than they were last year.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I had the worst sacking teams in the league.
Yeah, that's the surprise unit of the team is the defense for sure. Because I thought the defense was going to be subpar. And it's been their strength. So if they can keep that up, they're going to be in the mix. Because again, everybody's in the mix in the NFC. It's a deep conference, but there's only a couple of teams that have really elevated, I think, above the fray. I think your Lions are among that, even though they lost this week. And I think the Bucks. I think the Bucks are as well. But other than that, it's not like there's going to be like 3 teams that win 12 games and snipe wild cards with ridiculously good records or something like that. You're going to get in. You're going to see probably at least 2 teams with 10 wins make the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so let's talk about, we're kind of going backwards here in chronological order, Chiefs-Lions. Corey, unfortunately, your Lions suffered stinging defeat in Arrowhead because the Chiefs play all their tough games at home, and including this one. But, how do you feel?
I mentioned on the show last week that I was a little bit more nervous about this game than I felt like I should be, and a lot of that came from the fact that the Chiefs lost to the Jaguars. If they had won that game, I think that could have made an impact here. Probably not very much of one, but I think it would have made an impact. That was a really tough loss for the Lions. I still am very confused over the ruling of the illegal motion against Jared Goff on that, what should have been the first touchdown play of the game, the pass from Montgomery to Goff. The rule is very obscure and the way that I read it, it did not seem to apply to the situation at hand. But the officials determined that it was illegal motion, so they took it off. They had to kick a field goal. So that, kind of took away some momentum from us that we had established very early in the game. Toward the end of the first half, Amon-Ra had a very uncharacteristic drop that I think had probably the biggest impact on the trajectory of the game.
Absolutely.
From then on. We just couldn't get a lot going after that point, and the Chiefs taking that lead into halftime, and then I think they got the ball to start the second half too. So, they got a chance to sort of double up, and that put us well behind the 8 ball. And then you had a few instances where the officials got involved in the game and I think made incorrect calls. The pass interference call on the pass to Kelsey, which was completely uncatchable. And of course, Kelsey puts his hands up and they throw the flag.
Flails.
Yep. It was a ticky-tack call at best.
Like there were a couple of calls like that, and then there was also a catch that really didn't look like a catch to me that Kelsey.
It likely would have been
supposedly
It would have been overturned had they reviewed it.
Yeah, I felt like that should have been reviewed. So there were a few little things, but it was a frustrating evening for the Lions. I mean, it was only the second time in their last 11 or 12 games that they were held under 30 points. The defense is... We're in a little bit of trouble with the secondary right now with Tyrion Arnold out, with Kirby Joseph getting injured in that game, and it didn't look great. Like, I expect that he's probably going to miss some time. I haven't seen an update yet today, and I may have just missed it, but based on what it looked like last night, or Sunday night, I would imagine he's going to miss some time. And then Brian Branch is going to be out this week because he got suspended for the post-game brouhaha that he started.
And let me express my deepest sympathies for someone who loses their temper and wants to beat up Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, I fully understand the inclination, but you can't.
No, you
Like
can't do
Stephen A.
it.
Smith. Or you sound like Frank Caliendo doing Stephen A. Smith.
Well, that was not intentional, but I do acknowledge that I fully get wanting to beat up
cadence.
Juju Smith-Schuster. He's
Annoying.
Annoying is putting it nicely.
Yes, it is.
Evan, did you watch this game?
The only bit of it I saw was the little mix-up at the end.
Oh, the brouhaha. Yeah. Okay, so you saw the best part.
Yeah, I guess
Lions Chiefs, a potential Super Bowl preview, and that's the only part you watched?
I was tired.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Fair enough. I mean,
Super Bowl.
it's a long day, and his Ravens got beat again.
Football's been kind of exhausting. Okay, so I took this week off. I didn't watch any of it.
Evan went to Hershey Park.
Yeah.
Just stop being a Ravens fan for a little while.
Just
Pick
check
it back
out
up next year.
Yeah. All right. So I agree with you, Corey. I feel like the Amon-Ra drop, which again never happens, was what sort of flipped the game because the Lions were driving. They were in Chiefs territory. If they pick up the first down there, they probably score some points.
Oh yeah, we at least get a field goal.
Yeah,
we were already on the cusp of field goal territory.
So I think there's a good chance you score 7, and also the Chiefs don't get the ball back at that point. So instead they score 7. So that is as many as a 14-point swing, and you lost the game by 13 points. So, it was the decisive play of the game. When he dropped that pass, my first thought was, I think the Lions are going to lose now because I think the Chiefs, and again, your secondary was depleted, and so Mahomes was having a field day passing.
Yeah.
And, again, we talked about it with the game last week where the Chiefs didn't look good against the Jags, and not just in terms of like the Jags made them look bad. They made a bunch of uncharacteristic mistakes. They had bad penalties. They had the pick six. That's a throw that Mahomes doesn't usually make. It's not
Chris
a mistake.
Jones just standing around with a thumb up his bum.
Yeah,
just
so
watching Trevor Lawrence scramble for a touchdown after falling twice.
Yeah, and stumbled twice on that one. So but then the Chiefs come out this week and they had no penalties.
Yeah.
Now.
It was
again,
the first game in like 2 seasons where a team went through a whole game with no accepted penalties.
Again, officiating, we've talked about that
Stadium's a little shaky
with the Chiefs, but normally Jawan Taylor's big ass gets called for a penalty somehow because he's a terrible football player.
Well, his enormous behind is in the backfield.
Yeah, he's cheating. He's
and
holding.
He moves early. How do you not notice this gigantic man moving early?
No, I mean,
every time.
To be fair, there weren't really any plays where I saw the Chiefs do something. I was like, that should have been a flag. Like,
yeah,
they played a clean.
They played
game.
a clean game.
It was really the reverse, where it felt like there were a couple of situations where the Lions got called for something that I felt they probably should not have.
Yeah, and this happens. You go on the road to face a team that's with the Chiefs' history, with their coaching, and it's just distinctly possible that they come with a better game plan. They're the better team that day, and you just get beat, and that's what happened to Detroit. It doesn't change my feelings for them, but they've got to regroup. So.
No, this doesn't change my feelings at all. But you just hope that like a play like that. Sometimes wide receivers can get in their heads, and so far Amon-Ra St. Brown has not seemed like the kind of guy who gets in his own head. He seems like a very confident guy. He trusts his process, and he does a damn good job at it. But that's the kind of drop, game-changing drop, that you worry. Just like his body language afterwards as he was walking down the sideline. I don't necessarily know that it's concerning because we haven't seen very many opportunities for Amon-Ra St. Brown to show that body language because he drops so few passes. you just hope that that's not one of those situations where he's going to get in his own head and it kind of derails his season a little bit, because he's been so good. He's been so important for us.
But he's also a dog, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's like an absolute dog.
Love me some Sun God.
I don't of all the players, I don't think that I think he's gonna be fine.
Like, it's not something that I'm necessarily concerned about. It's just something that you hope does not, end up surprising you.
Yeah. So let's move on to let's do Seahawks Jags, because we had this game as a preview from last week, and the Jags, we kind of had them slightly on fraud watch, and they play the Seahawks, and I don't really know if I'm gonna move the needle on them one way or the other here, right?
Because they lost by 8 points. They didn't play that great, but they also didn't play horribly. They kept it close. Like, the Seahawks also just didn't look great. So, what can we do with this game other than just throw it away?
You can do what Evan apparently did, not tune in. So
didn't see it, didn't want to see it. Yeah, well, not gonna see it.
Not gonna see it, huh?
You know, like. You had the one big play from Darnold to Jackson Smith and Jigba, and that was pretty much the play of the game, because nothing else much happened.
Well, because we talked about the Jags defense we said it's legitimately very good. And the Seahawks defense is very good despite they've had some injuries. Again, sorry, Evan. Mike McDonald's a really good coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
Where'd he come from?
Well, he was Jim Harbaugh's DC at Michigan.
So. And then where was he?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know?
No.
He wasn't John Harbaugh's defensive coordinator in 2023?
Parts unknown.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, regardless, so yeah, it was kind of a defensive struggle. Again, 20-12 is not exactly high scoring, but Sam Darnold, got to give him his flowers, because he's making plays out there. He's sort of justifying the contract that the Seahawks gave him, kind of based off of only 1 year of success in Minnesota. Because there were some questions, especially with the way his season ended, about is Sam Darnold actually good, or was this just a mirage, and we kind of saw the real Sam Darnold at the end of last year. But
it's been more understated than it was last year in Minnesota. But yeah, he's been playing solid football.
Yep. So I don't have much else on this one. Trevor Lawrence made a couple of, again, really stupid throws, and then there was
also had a Travis Hunter line up offsides on what would have been a touchdown
to my guy. Yeah, I know.
To Brian Thomas.
But Brian Thomas still had a good game. So
he did.
He had a very good game.
Still got a little bit of the yips on one pass, but other than that, he played well.
Well, there was also that weird play where there was a penalty, where Lawrence made a terrible throw, but it worked out. But then it was a penalty, and Lawrence is acting like a baby about it. I'm like, dude, you should have thrown a pick there. Like, you just need to go back to the huddle and try again, because whatever that was, you didn't deserve it anyway. So, but that's enough about this game. I put a question mark on this game, whether we wanted to talk about it, but I figured both teams had winning records, so it was worth highlighting. So the last game we have listed is 49ers-Bucks, and this is pretty much only on here to bow down to the king, Baker Mayfield, current front runner to win the Most Valuable Player award.
What was Troy Aikman doing on Sunday night?
Monday night?
No, sorry,
last night.
Not Troy Aikman. Chris Collinsworth. Thank you. Jeez, what was Chris Collinsworth doing Sunday night? Hyping up that third down run by Mahomes. Who does that?
Where he got tackled short and had to punt. Yeah,
they didn't even make it to the first down marker. When just a couple hours earlier, Baker Mayfield made a much more impressive 3rd and 14 scramble that he actually converted for the first down.
It was the play that they showed all day, right? Like, for the rest of the day.
It was the play of the day on Red Zone, I think.
Insane, and it was huge in the moment because it was 2019. If the 49ers get the stop there, they have a chance to obviously get the ball and go down and take the lead. And Baker just, gets out of a sack somehow, like by pure rage or something. And then does like a little juke move, ends up falling forward, extends the ball across the line to gain first down. I was like, that's like straight out of a movie. Like, that doesn't look like a real play. That looks like some, underdog story play where this dude just heroically picks up a much needed first down.
I spent all summer listening to like every episode of the Fantasy Footballers podcast, and one of the things that came up a lot was Baker Mayfield. Like, can he be as good of a fantasy asset this year as he was last year? And one of the things they kept coming back to when they said probably not was that he like doubled his total rushing yards last year from his previous career high. And they're like, that was an aberration. That's not part of his game. There's no way it's going to happen again. He's doing it again. He's doing it better this year. Like, I think he might already be halfway to his rushing total from last season, and we're only 6 weeks in. We're not even halfway there.
Yeah, the big thing from him statistically in terms of, like, as it pertains to fantasy as well, is he's not throwing as many touchdown passes.
Right.
But that's in part because all of his receivers are hurt, so they're like, you know what, maybe we'll just hand it off to Bucky Irving or Rashad White for the touchdown.
Except that Bucky Irving is hurt now, too.
Rashad White is getting the
literally
toast.
just
So.
Rashad White, Kate Otten, who has been kind of nowhere to be found recently, and all of a sudden Tez Johnson, who is this guy?
idea.
Tez Johnson was like, why are y'all cheering MVP? I suck. And it's like, nah, dude, it's for the quarterback. Like, this is one of the most hilarious sideline things I've ever seen. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, at least he acknowledged, he was like, they're cheering MVP. I haven't done anything this year.
I love that aspect. It's like, you should have also realized they're not chanting it for you.
Yeah, they're chanting it for your MVP frontrunner quarterback. So, again, I don't have much on the 49ers here. They've now lost 2 games. Fred Warner's out for the year, yes, which is, again, they had 2 notable defensive players, and now they have none because their 2 best guys are both injured. And Bosa, we lost a few weeks ago to an ACL, and now Fred Warner with
another ACL.
Yeah, is that his second or third one? Feels like it's happened to him. Like, it happened like his second year. I thought it happened a couple years ago, too. I feel like that's his
I know
third.
it happened in... like the 49ers had back-to-back games in Azkaban in that terrible field, and everybody was injured.
So
yeah, I don't know, but Mac Jones, this was his 4th game.
He's playing on one leg too, so let's acknowledge he's playing injured. Yeah,
he's right. He's playing injured. He's also been very up and down. Like, he had a good game against the Saints, but it's the Saints. Had a so-so game against the Cardinals, touchdown and a pick.
It's the Cardinals.
Had a solid game against the Rams.
Yeah, that was
actually pretty.
That was a really impressive game. Yeah,
but then he was awful in this game. Like, he threw for a lot of yards.
Yeah.
But he had 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. Like, it just was not a particularly good performance for him. The Buccaneers did a solid job of containing Christian McCaffrey. Didn't really give him a lot of space to do much. Like, he was still heavily involved in the offense because they got nobody else. But, the Bucs defense did a good job against this I don't even know what you call this shell of an offense that the 49ers have right now, because all their wide receivers are hurt. Kittle is still hurt. He's supposed to be back at practice this week, which is great news for the 49ers because they need him.
Yeah, and the 49ers offensive line hasn't been particularly good either.
No.
They've been unhelpful. Quick idea here, and this entirely depends on what the Ravens do post-bye week, but where did Mark Andrews go to college, Evan?
Oklahoma.
Who was his quarterback at
Baker
Oklahoma?
Mayfield.
Huh? Yeah, a little trade option there maybe because they need some help, and
I think
they could use
I
an
thought the
upgraded
Ravens
tight
were
end.
going to cut Mark Andrews.
I thought they were too, and they didn't. But also, a quick note about the Saints, since Corey decided to lob a
stray
at the Saints. The Saints, again, now I'm going to lob another stray at the Ravens, have the same record as the Baltimore Ravens, and now have a better point differential by 1 point.
Oh.
It's a negative 50 versus a negative 49.
Negative 40.
Because and the thing is, this week, the Saints did not play well against the Patriots. The refs kept the Saints in the game. Like that, if the Patriots
Wasn't that in New England?
It was in the Dome.
Oh, okay.
But it was the most poorly officiated game I've ever seen. Like, the Patriots should have blown the Saints out. Like, you saw the play where Stephon Diggs made the huge catch down the sideline, and they called it back for pass interference for nothing. Like, it was a perfect throw and catch, and I was like, holy crap, Drake May, here he comes.
Yeah, Diggs did nothing wrong in that. That was such a big swing for me in fantasy. Thankfully, it did not make the difference in my game.
It ended up looking like, every time I looked up at the TV, because I had my eye on the Saints and Patriots, and I was like, it felt like every time I looked up, Drake May was throwing a dot for 50 yards, and the ball was coming back because it got penalized, and the penalty didn't make any sense. And I'm like, okay, we should be getting destroyed right now. Like, why are we in this game? And then Chris Olave dropped potentially the game-winning touchdown, so that happened. But I'll give him some grace because
his brain is scrambled.
He's probably has a diet of crayons at this point because just not great for him. Speaking of crayon eaters, shout out to Cam Scadaboo because that dude's a psycho.
I was going to say Nick Bosa.
Him too. Yeah, they both apply. But that is the extent of our conversation for Week 6. But we do have some Week 7 games to get into. Before that, though, we do have some breaking news from the NFL, which we alluded to a few weeks ago. Brian Callahan, the now former Titans head coach, dismissed at the start of this week after another unimpressive L. They lost to the Raiders, I think, and they didn't look competitive in it. So he's 1-5 start for them. Their one win was via fumble at the goal line dropped, and also the most yakety sax fumble touchdown thing ever.
Oh, against the Cardinals.
Yes, it cost me 6 points for my defense because my defense gave up a defensive touchdown. Like, what?
Incredible.
Oh, my God.
How's your defense?
So, Brian Callahan,
he was 4-19.
He is the fourth consecutive coach to be fired in the middle of the season after their team drafted a quarterback first overall.
That's a stat.
So Brian Callahan this year just drafted Cam Ward first overall.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, first overall pick,
Caleb
Williams.
Eberflus got fired
in the middle of the game.
Thanksgiving.
2023, Bryce Young drafted first overall.
And they fired Matt Rule, yeah.
Frank Reich.
Oh, Frank Reich. Yeah,
Frank
Matt Rule was
Reich.
before that. Yeah.
And 2021,
Cousin
Trevor
Urban.
Lawrence, your cousin,
My uncle.
your uncle, Urban Meyer.
Not that old. Not quite that old. He's uncle status, not cousin status.
The last quarterback to be drafted first overall whose head coach was not fired in the middle of the season, to go back to Joe Burrow.
Oh.
And the thing is, if you go back to 2018, Baker Mayfield was drafted number 1, and
Yes.
Hugh Jackson got fired in the middle of the
Yeah.
season.
And your
So
boy
5 of the
Kevin
last
Ki-
6.
So, or 5 out of the last 7, because
Kitchens? What's his name?
Freddie Kitchens.
Freddie Kitchens.
But Cliff Kingsbury was not fired.
right. Yeah.
Your boy.
Yeah.
He survived.
Somehow he made
He
it
was
4 years.
he was one of the
He
guys
made
that didn't
4
get fired. Yeah,
years.
but he was also a fresh hire when Kyler was drafted. So
Yes, but
slightly different
my
circumstances.
God. The worst head coach in NFL history, the most unqualified head coach in NFL history. Oh my God!
But he's really good at
Freddie
being rich.
Kitchens and Jim Tom Sula don't make the worst or least qualified in NFL history.
At least they were coaching in the NFL when they were hired. Like, Cliff Kingsbury got fired from his college job. He accepted a
At his
coordinator.
college.
Yeah, he accepted a coordinator job at a college, and then the Cardinals called him and said, "Hey, do you want to be our head coach?" He was like, I mean, of course he's going to take the job. Who wouldn't? He's probably like, well, what are y'all doing? But fine, I'll take the
It's like, how much money does
increased
my current
pay
job
and prestige.
pay?
Yeah.
How much money does that pay? Yeah, I might take that job.
Yeah. It's not like they made him move to Buffalo or something either. He went from L.A. to Glendale, Arizona. Like, it's still pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, that's enough ranting about bad coaches. Brian Callahan definitely among them, and kind of, again, like, I joked about us rooting for people to get fired, like we're heartless bastards on this podcast. But Brian Callahan deserved to get fired in more ways than one. He was incompetent as a head coach, and he was a low character, no accountability head coach. Somebody that I do not want to see anywhere near a conversation for head coaching again. I would be furious if my team employed him in any fashion. Like, he is a nepo baby who is also just a crybaby, blaming everybody but himself, even though he didn't know the damn rules half the time. Just incompetence mixed with zero character. Not interested. Get him out of my face.
Yep. Great job, Tennessee Titans, for getting rid of Mike Vrabel for this guy.
Although I will say, high character guy who we all love and love to make fun of. Greatest Tennessee coach of all time, Jeff Fisher.
What about him?
Hire him.
He is currently
He's available.
available.
He's available. And he's tied with Bill Belichick for the most losses of all time. So I'm pretty sure.
Three-way tie.
Yes, I'm pretty sure Cam Ward and this current rendition of the Titans would very quickly get him over the hump.
Oh, very quickly.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
'cause
after
the
all, they
Titans are
play
playing the
against Mike
Patriots.
Vrabel
Mike
this
Vrabel,
week.
yeah, revenge game this week. Yes, so that's gonna happen. But that is not a game that we're talking about because let's face it, I think we know how that one's going to go.
Yeah.
I think we do too. We've been surprised before, though.
I think this is one of the ones where I can say we're not going to be
I'm
surprised.
thinking about starting Alec Iomanner in my fantasy league.
I
this
don't
week.
know who that is.
He's the rookie wide receiver for the Titans, who is now going to be their wide receiver 1 with Calvin Ridley hurt.
Did he go to DeMatha? Like, why?
No.
Why is he relevant?
Because
'Cause
Corey
he
likes
caught-
his target
he
share.
caught a touchdown each of the first 3 games of the season.
Caught the touchdown. 'Cause the
Yeah,
Titans-
basically.
Probably the one
Yeah.
touchdown, yeah.
I've got
my actual rookie starting wide receiver Tyrone McMillan finally caught his first touchdown pass of the season this past week, and then he caught his second one.
Nice.
Shout out to Tet.
Congratulations.
Okay.
That's why you kept saying Tets on the chat.
Yeah.
I was thinking, is Corey watching Vietnam War movies or something? What's going on here? It's very strange.
I've got on the Titans, it's just general incompetence.
Are we on the Titans?
Yeah, we were talking
We're
about
talking
Brian
about Brian
Callahan
Callahan,
getting
so
fired.
I thought we were ready to move on to the other.
No, but I'm
front
going to let
coach.
Evan say his piece.
No,
yeah.
because
He can let him cook.
on Threads from CBS Sports, they put a little timeline together. So since the Titans traded away A.J. Brown in April 2022, they then fired their GM in December 2022. They went 7-10 in 2023, and then in January 2023 they brought in a new general manager, and then in 2024, after a 6-11 season, they fire Mike Vrabel. They bring in Brian Callahan. And then in March of 2024, they let Derrick Henry come to Baltimore. And then in January 25, they fire the GM and hire a new GM. And then in October 2025, they fire Brian Callahan. So there's no continuity here, right? Each GM has an incumbent coach, and then the GM gets fired. Or the coach gets fired, and then the existing GM brings in a new coach, but then that GM gets fired. This was a recipe for disaster. It's been like this for going on 4 years now.
Yeah, the organization has its share of flaws.
What organization?
Yeah,
disorganization.
Yes, it is. An oxymoron to call this a football organization at this point.
Program.
They again. The GM and Vrabel were not on the same page when A.J. Brown was traded. We all saw it on draft day because that's when it happened. Mm-hmm. And that's when things just started to come unglued, right? Because understand that their window wasn't sustainable with an older Ryan Tannehill as their quarterback because Tannehill had a limited ceiling as it was, and he wasn't in his prime anymore, or whatever that meant. So they had to find a quarterback, but they also didn't have to get rid of A.J. Brown, who was their best playmaker outside of Derrick Henry at the time, and it didn't make any sense. But so Callahan might not have been the problem, but he was certainly a problem.
Yeah.
So he had to go. All right, so let's move on to Week 7. Let's talk about a couple of these games we got coming up. Let's start with Colts-Chargers, because the Chargers are coming off of a scrape-by-it win against the Dolphins. So Dolphins are 1-5, so they're ass, and we've talked plenty about them and their beleaguered head coach. But the Chargers get a big win after they had lost 2 in a row. They lost to the Commodes, and they had lost to I forget who
the Giants.
Oh, that's right, they lost to the Giants. Yes,
we were driving by the stadium.
Yeah, I was trying to beat the traffic to get by Azkaban coming home from Six Flags. But yeah, so Colts-Chargers. Colts kind of had an embarrassingly close game against the Cardinals this week. And we thought that they were somebody, and you're not going to encourage that thought to continue. I mean, me and Corey.
I don't think so.
I mean, they're probably going to win the division. Who's going to win that division? Somebody's got to.
The Colts are probably going to win that division. Whatever you think about Daniel Jones, they've got good skill players.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Pittman is still solid. Josh Downs is pretty good.
Nothing from
Tyler Warren has been awesome.
Yes.
Jonathan Taylor has been incredible.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a great offense around Daniel Jones. He's the only thing that's kind of maybe holding them back. And their defense has been awesome. Their defense has been probably at least one of the top 5 defenses in the NFL, maybe even a top 3 defense.
Yeah,
this
is the first week they looked a little leaky, which is weird against Cardinals of all teams, and with no Kyler Murray, which he's not good, but
we
Jacoby
see this sort of
Brissett
thing all the time. Brissett is actually
he's solid. Yeah, he's a good backup.
He's probably the best backup in the NFL right now, and we see this sort of thing happen regularly where the starting quarterback goes down, and the first week that the new quarterback comes in, he plays pretty well. The other defense has a little bit of trouble with them because there's no film to look at from recently on this player that you can truly prepare properly for what kind of offensive scheme they're going to run around this quarterback. And so you can sort of forgive a defense for not looking great in that first game. What usually happens is then that quarterback does not play well the next week.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
The secret's out. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So we'll see what the Colts can do because, again, their slate of wins doesn't look super impressive right now, but we know that their offense is actually very good. Meanwhile, the Chargers are just kind of trying to survive until they can get healthy with all their injuries to their offensive line. But, we'll see because they kind of need to keep winning games. The Chiefs are coming. The Broncos aren't going anywhere.
The Chargers are like the least impressive good team that I've ever seen.
Okay.
If that makes any sense. Just nothing about them excites me except for Lad McConkey.
Yeah, you got an exciting white there, so you're into him. Yeah. No love for I was gonna say Omari and Hampton, but he's hurt. So,
right, exactly.
He's
He's hurt. So like Keenan Allen, he's fun. I like Keenan Allen.
He's a good ball player, but he's older.
He's
yeah.
over the hill.
Yeah.
He's not the Keenan Allen of old.
Evan, anything about Colts Chargers?
No.
I didn't think so. It was rough. It was rough sledding picking these games. I just came up with whatever I could. Bucks Lions. That's actually a game, but the Bucks are beat up.
And the Lions are without a lot of secondary players.
Yeah. So this is going to be stoppable force meets movable object
it's
here.
a little bit of a war of attrition.
Yeah, absolutely. So Baker, current MVP frontrunner for the league. Jared Goff was certainly in that conversation, but had a lesser game against the Chiefs. So I wouldn't say he was
he's
bad.
Played
but
himself out of it.
No, but he's
Baker
taken a
has
step
been
back.
the better
Yeah.
player
Yes.
up to this point.
Yeah.
Where is this game at?
This game's in Detroit.
But let's be honest, neither of these quarterbacks are going to win the MVP. It's going to be Mahomes this year.
I mean, you're probably right.
It's just set up that way right now.
He's the betting favorite to win MVP.
He's actually been playing really well.
He's played very well.
This is
Yeah,
his best season in
since he last won MVP.
Guys.
Yeah,
in half a decade.
Yeah, I agree. But for right now, the Chiefs are 3-3, so that he's not really a candidate. But he's definitely making his way up the list. I'm still rooting for my boy Baker though.
I love me some Big Show.
Yeah. And then the last one I had was Rams Jags.
Oh,
I put a
question
mark on this one because I'm just like, do we have to? So we can we honestly can say we don't have to because I do think that Evan and I can have a somewhat of a conversation on our last topic, or before we get to baseball, I should say. Corey, this one is maybe a little bit outside your purview, but it is important. James Franklin was fired.
Here you go.
From Penn State after suffering the third loss of the year. They lost to
3 weeks ago.
Northwestern. Yes.
3 weeks ago. Were they not ranked 10th in the nation?
In the top 5.
They were 2.
They were 2?
They were
way up there.
Yeah, because at the preseason, it was Texas was 1, Penn State was 2, Ohio State was 3, and then Ohio State beat Texas on Labor Day weekend, and Ohio State jumps to 1, and Penn State stayed at 2. So until they started, then they lost to Oregon in a tough game, which, okay, fine, respectable loss.
Because Oregon was also ranked in the top 5.
Yeah, but then they go to L.A. to play UCLA, who was 0-4.
Had already fired their coach, too.
Mm-hmm. And they found a way to lose to them. And I was like, okay, they plummeted.
Dozens of people in the gigantic Rose Bowl.
They fell out of the rankings completely. I remember thinking, because that was Renfest weekend, because I went to Renfest with Sean and his crew, and including Julia, and Julia's a Penn State fan, and she loves to kind of, she loves to break my balls a little bit about, Penn State's better at football than Maryland. And I was like, well, if y'all lose this week to UCLA and we beat Wisconsin, we will be ranked and you won't be. Or not Wisconsin, I'm sorry, Washington. And then Maryland blew a 20-0 lead against Washington and didn't end up being ranked. But
I would love to know if anybody has researched this, if it's anywhere on Twitter or X, whatever. What is the record for the fastest into a season that a preseason AP top 5 team fell completely out of the rankings?
Oh, it happens all the time. Clemson did it year after year after Trevor Lawrence left.
But within the first 4 or 5 weeks.
Texas this year.
Yeah, it just takes one bad loss.
Yeah.
To fall completely out of the top 25?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you lose to a bye game, they're not putting you in the top 25. Like Appalachian State, when they beat Michigan was nowhere near the rankings again. I don't know how highly they were ranked at that time of that game anyway. But yeah, it only takes one loss for you. So I would be I wouldn't expect that to be like anything impressive.
Okay.
But it was a quick fall from grace. James Franklin had a reputation of
Penn State was number 2.
yes, like that's what I said. But you know, he had a reputation as being a guy who won a lot of games, recruited at a high level, but couldn't get over the hump against the likes of Ohio State, or when Jim Harbaugh had Michigan playing at a championship level, he couldn't beat them either. But then they start dropping games left and right to these horrible programs, and college football is a lot different than the NFL. One, in the sense that fan bases and boosters are nuts, and they don't tolerate crap like this. But number two, recruiting is a 365-day-a-year job, right? Like football, okay, you can wait till the end of the year to fire your coach because you can't really do anything significant until March anyway, when free agency starts. Mm-hmm. In college football, you got to have the wheels in motion to get the new coach ready, get whoever that's going to be, to get your program turned to a new page. And so you can't just have this obvious lame duck coach be there. And so, you know, Franklin was not my favorite person in the world. I didn't care for him. I thought his personality was toxic. I thought he was a jerk. But I acknowledge that he was a damn good football coach, and he will be employed in short order. Like, he will find a new job somewhere. I mean, hell, he held the Penn State job for over a decade, right? He was a good coach there. He was there for a long time.
Oh.
University of Maryland?
I don't think we can fire Mike Loxley. We don't have the money.
Oh. If only there was an alum sitting around this desk
I
right
don't
now.
I don't have $13 million, Evan. I'm not quite that well off, but, you know, maybe I'll start a GoFundMe or something like that.
That might work.
Yeah, I mean, it would if we were a real college town, like a real college football town.
Real college long pause.
Yes. I mean, well,
Gotta cancel classes because they're playing Penn State. I'm never getting over that,
have you
by
seen
the
the
way.
Beltway, by the way? It's, you know, it's
Never getting over it.
Beltway's
Never.
crazy.
They're
Traffic's
playing
nuts.
against their future coach.
Yeah. Gotta show how serious we are to
Lose
James
by
Franklin.
50
Yes.
at half.
Oh, it was 38-0 in half, and that's,
Oh, okay,
and
I'm
that's
sorry.
when I left. So,
Oh, okay.
you know, that was terrible. But, you know,
You
hey,
waited until 38-0 to leave?
I just wanted to see how high the score was going to get before the half. I was like, okay, once halftime hits, I'm getting out of here. But yeah, James Franklin, that's something to mention though. He was Maryland's offensive coordinator under Ralph Regin before when Ralph got fired. So Ralph got fired.
Regin.
Ralph Regin, you know,
Sounding like Barry Kripke from Big Bang Theory.
yes, or like Elmer Fudd if that's
Subject to ridicule.
Yes. So, you know, I don't think Franklin's coming here just because, again, Mike Loxley's not going anywhere. It is interesting, though, to think about this. You know who could take the Penn State job is Matt Rule. He's currently coaching at Nebraska.
I was going to say Bill Belichick after he gets fired from UNC.
I think Bill Belichick needs to just...
He's going to retire on Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard.
He
or
needs
whatever.
to go to the glue factory at this point. Like,
Oh,
enough
my
is
goodness.
enough. I have been accumulating talking points of when that man is finally dismissed from UNC. We will talk about that then. But my viewpoint, my attitude towards Bill Belichick has plummeted so far over the last couple of years.
It's been a wild fall from grace.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that in due time. But Evan, do you have anything else about James Franklin getting fired?
I mean, not really, right? Like you just,
It happened, yeah.
you know, you keep losing ball games. You can't. Losing at home to Northwestern is ugly. Can't do it,
Can't do it.
right? Losing to UCLA, who was 0 for the season and fired their coach. Can't do it.
Nope.
So
Not acceptable.
You ain't got no job.
Yeah, well, shout out to Drew Aller, who, you know, Sean insisted for years was going to be this awesome player, and he sucks.
Penn State, there are 3 wins.
I always think it's pronounced Alar.
Pretty sure it's Aller.
I'm just going to keep calling him
That's
Alar.
fine. You're not going to know who he is in 3 weeks anyway when, you know, Penn State benches him or something. So.
He got hurt. He's not coming back.
Oh, well, he's not coming back at all then because he's...
Yeah, he's done for the year, isn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's a bum, so...
And he was
he's
a
not gonna be in the
senior or
NFL.
whatever. Like,
Yeah.
he's not coming back.
Yeah, he's-
Penn State's 3 wins. They beat Nevada, FIU, and Villanova.
I always laugh at the idea that Villanova has
I
a
didn't
football
think they
team.
had a football
I found
team.
out last year because Maryland played them and drummed them. So, like that's that. All right. So before we get out of here, we got about 10 minutes left. Let's do a little baseball. ALCS and NLCS are both underway. The Mariners are up 2-0 after winning both games in Toronto, and they will travel to Seattle for Game 3. I believe that game is going to be played tomorrow night. So that is a great start for them after they finished off a 15-inning Game 5 winner-take-all contest against the Tigers. And they came right along and they kind of smoked the Blue Jays both times. One of the scores was 10-3. Like, the team's kind of a wagon. We kind of talked about the Mariners are probably the best team in the American League roster-wise coming into the postseason. They've definitely lived up to that.
I'm thrilled about this. Blue Jays, get them out of here.
Oh, I shifted immediately once they beat the Yankees. I'm like, all right, let's go Mariners, right? And again, my Mariners, but they're not really my Mariners anymore, but I'm sure as hell going to root for them over the damn Blue
Mariners
Jays.
didn't score any runs.
No, they certainly weren't scoring 10 runs in a playoff
They
game.
scored 10 runs in a week.
10 runs and in a playoff game. Two thoughts separate were incomprehensible to me. And you put them together? Like, good for them.
North of the border.
I'm happy for them. And something interesting that to keep your eye on this, because I did root for this team for a long time, and I did stay up and watch a lot of Mariners games.
Yes, you did.
And I remember when the Blue Jays used to come to town. And it's interesting, the Blue Jays have a big contingent of fans that migrate across the border to root for the Blue Jays in Seattle because Toronto is Canada's team. Like, they don't have another baseball team, and even when they did, nobody really cared about the Expos. And so a bunch of people from Vancouver travel down I-5, and it's about a 2.5-hour drive to Safeco Field. And they, like, 40% of the crowd would be Blue Jays fans. But there's some conversation about that might not be as prevalent. One, playoff time, Mariners fans are going to get priority to get tickets. And number two, we kind of have a little bit of a frosty relationship with Canada right now in this country. And there's been a lot less back and forth across the border because Canadians don't want to come here. So,
Can you blame them?
no, I cannot. But it
I
works.
still maintain if the U.S. and Canada are having beef, then Canada needs to take their geese back because I hate those things.
Yes, I agree.
The worst.
The Geese are the worst. And the Blue Jays are the worst, so except for the Yankees. So, rooting for the Blue Jays to have a quick exit, which means I'm rooting for my Mariners to make the World Series for the first time. So, that's
the only Major League Baseball team that has not made a World Series appearance.
Well, they're halfway there through this series, so we'll see if they're able to finish it off.
If the Mariners make it to the World Series, then the Orioles will have the longest World Series drought in the American League.
Well,
Pretty sure.
Go Mariners!
Right? Like, everybody else has made it.
yeah. Even the team.
Expansion, Tampa Bay has made it.
Yes, twice.
Twice, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, won both of them, didn't they? Or
No, they lost.
No,
They
they
lost
lost
one.
both.
Yeah.
They lost both.
That's right.
They
Yes,
lost to the
yes,
Phillies
yes,
and they
yes.
lost to the Dodgers.
That's right.
All right, so let's talk Dodgers against the Brew Crew, which this game was hilarious for a lot of reasons. So the Dodgers ended up winning the game 2-1. Blake Snell pitched a gem. Shockingly, Dave Roberts let him go 8 innings. Hey, Kevin Cash, it worked. He didn't give up any runs.
Look at that.
Who would have thought? So,
Just throw that out there for Aaron Boone, too.
sure. Any manager that pulls their ace
Third time
who's
through the
spinning
order.
a gem, yeah.
Yank 'em.
Yeah, that did not happen, though. So Snell was great. He's obviously the story for the Dodgers, but this game had 2 pretty funny moments. Number one was the first ever 8-6-2 grounded into double play, despite the fact that the ball never actually hit the ground.
Well, personally, I think that if you can catch the ball on a ricochet off the wall, it should count as a flyout. I don't think the wall should be a part of the ground.
It is the ground. You can't have it bounce off the wall and then into your glove. That it hit not the glove. So
Well, that's the rule, Corey.
Yeah.
So
I don't like it.
But this play got chaotic because Max Munchies comes up to the plate and he hits a deep fly ball to center field, shaded towards left, and Sal Frelick, the center fielder, ran back to make the play. He jumps up, the ball is right near the wall. He gets his glove on it, but he doesn't catch it. The ball then bounces off the top of the wall where the yellow line is to denote this is the top of the wall, but that does not make it a home run. And so then Frelick catches the ball off of the bounce and throws it in to Orioles legend Joey Ortiz, who then fires home to William Contreras. And because Teoscar Hernandez didn't understand the rule of tagging up, you are allowed to leave as soon as the ball hits the glove. You don't have to wait for the ball to be secure. So he saw Frelick bobble the ball, and he took off, but then he saw him bobble, so he thought he had to go back and tag up because Frelick caught the ball shortly after, and
once the ball hit the wall, it's a hit.
But he didn't
just run.
He was not aware that it hit the wall. Neither were any of the Dodgers.
It is hard to see.
Yes, and because they're way out there.
And it happened very quickly.
Yes, and so Hernandez re-tags up and then tries to make it home, but is thrown out at the plate via force out. Your boy Brian Anderson was very confused. So that's out number one. But then, meanwhile, because the bases were loaded, you had Will Smith was on second. He goes halfway between second and third because he's trying to score if the ball drops in. And then he sees the ball get caught. He starts signaling to Tommy Edman to go back to first because Tommy Edman's coming to second because they both think the ball has been caught. So then Contreras just takes the ball from home after forcing Hernandez out and just strolls over to third and touches the base to end the inning. And so what should have been 2 runs in with
double.
Runners on second and third at worst with 1 out and a 2-0 lead ends up being inning over, no runs scored.
You said 8-6 to 2 grounded into double play.
Yes, Frelick to Ortiz, who was the relay man, who threw it home to Contreras, who then unassisted stepped on third. And the funniest thing I noticed about this was even if Hernandez didn't have his blunder, both Edman and Smith retreated. So even if Hernandez gets home before the throw, if they throw to third to throw out Smith and they throw to second to throw out Edman, Hernandez's run doesn't count.
Because it's a double play.
It's a double play force out. So, like, Hernandez had the biggest dummy moment, but his really didn't make a difference here because both guys would have been thrown out.
Right.
And if Contreras didn't simply have to meander over to third to touch the base. So
it could have been was it Fred Merkle for the Brooklyn Dodgers who didn't touch the next base and cost the Dodgers a win?
Yeah, it sounds like something that happened. So, yeah. But yeah, this is hilarious. And the Dodgers ended up winning anyway. So the second funny thing that happened was this wasn't really as funny, but it was notable. The Dodgers bullpen sucks, and we talked about that. So Snell leaves the game after 8 innings. I thought they should have left him in, even though he had thrown 103 pitches. Let him just get the complete game shutout. But they bring in their parade of gumps. I think Sasaki came in. He gave up some hits, and then Blake Trinan, who
that's a dynamite sinker.
Yes, and also loves him some Make America Great Again stuff.
Oh, dear.
And has not particularly pitched well since, a certain podcaster was tragically killed, and he celebrated him on his hat. But that's not the point. He loads the bases. Yes. Bryce Turang comes to the plate, and Trinan almost hits him with a pitch that would have tied the game because it's 2-1 at that point. But Turang dodged it. Like, he jumped out of the way, and then the next pitch, he chases a pitch up in his, above his head to strike out. And, of course, everybody's getting mad at him because he didn't take the hit by pitch. And I'm like, dude, would you? Instinctively, you're jumping out of the way of a major leaguer throwing a pitch at you. But some people thought he should have just stood in there and took one for the team. But he didn't.
Is that the one that was, going for his knee?
Yeah, it was
He
exactly.
never walked again.
Yeah, he might have just had to have been stretchered off the field if he had taken that. But they would have tied the game.
I legitimately think that his kneecap and everything there would have just exploded.
I do think
it would have looked like the bird against
Randy Johnson.
Oh no!
Yeah,
feathers.
But it is funny that the Brewers ultimately lost the game because one of their players decided he wanted to be a Dodger. Yeah, there you go. You got it.
See what you did there.
Yeah, pull the chain. But all right, so we'll see how the rest of this series goes. The Brewers were definitely an excellent team all season. Blake Snell pitched a gem. Good for him, but that series is far from over. Game 2 is happening tonight.
That game is also scored 2-1.
Dodgers up?
Lead.
Okay,
yeah.
So Dodgers up 2-1 in Game 2, so Brewers got to fight back. We'll see if they can do it. But that does it for baseball, unless you guys have anything to add before we get out of here. No. Okay. Shout-outs then. Evan, what do you got?
Shout out to the ride ops on El Toro on Saturday night. Oh my goodness gracious. They had the trains humming.
Nice.
I think I rode 9 times. Just, I might have had a bit of a moment with El Toro on Saturday. So
A bit of a moment.
the park was open until midnight, which I didn't know.
Yeah,
until
I
got
was.
there.
Yeah, I noticed that you were still there late. I was like, damn, they're open until midnight. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Sounds like a great time.
it was a great time.
All right, glad to hear it. Corey?
I'm gonna give a shout out to some of my cross country guys because we had a lot of PRs this weekend. It was a pretty good race for us. We've had some issues that have had to be addressed with a few of the runners on the cross country team.
I may have heard about some of
who
those.
Are they all addressed now?
No longer on the team.
Alrighty. Well,
But the guys who are still on the team ran well. I was really pleased with their performances, and we're just gearing up to see what we can do at championships next weekend. We still don't know where it's going to be.
you still don't know where it's going to be.
No, because the place that it's been for the past 3 years is not available. We can't use our permit because of the government shutdown.
Oh.
And so we're trying to find a location right now. It was actually what we had a coaches meeting at 6 o'clock today before our show. It was about trying to spitball some ideas for places that we can reach out to.
Find a spot.
Try and find a place for next Saturday.
Just cold calling, just parks around the DMV, just like, hey, y'all,
Something like that.
y'all
So
have-
we'll see what happens, but yeah, a couple of my seniors in particular, Joe Leglowick and Will Herman, who last season Will missed the whole year with an injury. Joe missed most of the season with an injury, and so they hadn't run a PR since their sophomore year, but they got PRs this past weekend. I was really happy for them doing that. Yeah. Shout out to those guys.
Very nice. All right. Well, I do not have a shout out this week because I was going to give a shout out to the New York Giants because Cam Scadaboo and Jackson Dart are hilarious meatheads, but I don't like the Giants, so I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
So that wraps it up for this week's episode of the Sports Ballers. Thank you guys for tuning in. You can reach us at thesportsballers@gmail.com. If you want to give us feedback or have topic ideas, we are welcoming anything you've got. So feel free to shoot us an email. You can also follow us at SportsBallers18 on Twitter. You can follow us individually. Evan is at Evan_Ash13. Corey is at Corey Puffett. I am at Quagmire67. You can get this on Apple, Spotify. You can watch live on YouTube. And if you have a podcatcher that we're not on, let us know and we'll do our best to accommodate you. Thank you again for tuning in. Next week, we'll recap Week 7. We'll have a little bit more baseball content. We may have World Series, participants at that point, but we don't necessarily know that yet. And basketball season starts on Tuesday.
Geez. It just ended.
That's ball, baby. We're back with some hoops. And we're not going to do a full preview, but I will have to try to kill a coach because that's what we do here. Mm-hmm. So I will percolate on that one for about a week, and I'll come back and tell you who's getting fired. But until then, take it easy.